for the Stamp It Like It's Hot series. This is a monthly series where we're focusing on stamps. So there's a list with different prompts, different ways to use stamps every month, and just kind of get creative thinking about the stamps that are in our stash, how we can pull them out and actually use them. I know a lot of us will buy a stamp. We use it one time because there's maybe one specific image we want, or it goes with a collection that we bought. We kind of use it and then it just gets tucked away and we never pull them back out. So this is a really fun series because it really is getting us thinking about those stamps and pulling them out and using them in a conscious way to get them onto our layouts. So every month is something a little bit different. And this month is kind of a fun prompt. I definitely encourage and challenge you guys to go ahead and play along with it. It's using household objects as stamps. So on my live, which was the first Wednesday in August, what was that? The 2nd, I think. It's on the Wild Whisper Facebook page. I went ahead and created this background. I pulled out some household objects to create a mixed media background using lots of inks. There's lots of Distress Oxides in here, and then my black archival ink, but I also used some watercolors and I used some acrylic paint. And the household objects that I pulled out were some of my son's trains, so some little minis, the Thomas the Train minis. He absolutely adores those. We have a massive collection, so I just found one that was a repeat, so it wasn't ruined, just in case, because I wasn't sure how things were going to turn out and how messy I might get, so I just made sure it was one that was a repeat that he already owned. And then I also pulled out some Q-tips, I pulled out a toilet paper roll, and I pulled out, a Pop-It. Yeah, I pulled out a Pop-It, one of those toys where it has the little bubbles and you just kind of pop them. I was going to pull out some bubble wrap, but I actually just used the last of my bubble wrap. But that's a great household object that you can use to get some really fun texture on your layouts. But I found a Pop-It. One of my older sons said, "Mom, you could try using this." So I did. And what else? Oh, and a sponge. A sponge is kind of like a classic household item that you can use for stamping. And so I did a bunch of stamping with the ink pads, but also with some of the acrylic paint. And I used the little trains to kind of roll across the paper. So you saw me doing that at the very beginning, and also use the Q-tip to make some little dots. The different types of mediums that I use, so the paints versus the different inks, they all leave different impressions with the Q-tips. So that was kind of fun to play with. But yes, I have it all on that Facebook Live. So I'm going to see if I can download that live and then upload it to YouTube. Hopefully the quality isn't too bad. But if I can do that, I will definitely leave the link down below. I'll come back and edit the description and just leave the link there down below so that people can go and reference it if you want to see the creation, or head over to the Facebook page and just take a look at that video. I definitely am very much myself in my lives, so it's kind of fun. I try not to over edit myself in these voiceovers, but obviously I get crunched for time and I can ramble a little bit, as you guys all know. So, you get a much more edited version of me in these videos. So if you want to see a little bit more of how I am normally, you can go and check out those lives. But if I can get them posted, I will definitely start doing that so that you guys can see what I've been creating on the Facebook Lives. But that is where I created the majority of this background. So I did want to show you a little bit with the train, kind of how I was rolling it around, and I did a bit more of a black border. I wanted to bring that in a bit. And it was really fun. So I really encourage you to go and find some household stuff. The Pop-It worked out really fun. It created kind of an interesting pattern. I rubbed the ink pad across it, made sure to kind of squish into all those dots. And then I was able to just take my fingers when I flipped it over and pop the little dots down so I could control which ones kind of touched the paper and which ones didn't. And I thought that was fun and created a really interesting pattern. And you can see some of those little dots in the close-ups at the end too, and some of the lines from it and stuff. And then I also kind of made sure that whatever mediums I was using, if it was something that I needed to have washed off, just made sure I used the appropriate thing. So don't use your archival inks. Sorry, you can hear my little guy. He's right beside me, playing with his trains actually. But yeah, don't use the archival inks or anything like that on your household objects that you need to have washed off. But I kind of have a dedicated little section of my desk where I have a bunch of found objects that I use for crafting. And so like that paper towel roll, or that's a toilet paper roll, but I usually have something like that on my desk. And just, bubble wrap and little things like that. So there's lots of ways that you can use those household objects to get really cool textures and impressions. Your different inks are going to act in different ways. If you've got, really kind of wet, gushy inks, they obviously work in a different way on, say, a sponge and how it absorbs into the paper versus maybe a really dry ink. I used my sponge in the black archival ink, to kind of go around the edge a little bit, and it's not quite as concentrated because that archival ink is a lot more of a dry ink than when I used it with the acrylic paint. For example, I watered down the acrylic paint a little bit and kind of just popped it all over the page, and you can see how it gushed out a little more and just made different splatters and stuff. So it's a lot of fun to kind of experiment and see the different textures and impressions and stuff that you can get. And so, yeah, I've been talking a lot about that and not so much about actually putting this layout together, but I didn't really want to start covering up all of that fun mixed media and all the stamping that I did. So I left the embellishment very, very simple. I have my picture, and I have one little piece of paper that I just found in my How to Kill Kit with Style Kit. I pulled it out. It was in the blues and has these little green plus signs on it. And so I thought that works really good. I can create a little pocket there to hide some journaling. So I pulled out a couple of tags, and that's where I have my hidden journaling. So I didn't have to take up any extra room or hide any extra mixed media. It's all kind of tucked in there nicely. And then I just went through my travel ephemera stash and pulled out a few things. I knew I had a few things that were sort of rail related. So I grabbed a couple different tickets and stuff that were either generic travel, so they didn't specifically say road trip or airway or anything like that, flight, or have like a picture of a plane or a car, or anything that did specifically say rail, and I just pulled those out. So there's only a few little embellishments on there, kind of to create a couple little clusters. I brought in a little bit of pink, which I felt like matched my shirt that is in the picture. So I just wanted to bring that in as maybe a bit of a contrasting color, a little highlight color. I found that chipboard that said together, and I found one of my little ephemera pieces that said adventure, and it has the definition of adventure. So it kind of just says adventure together. I didn't really have any good pre-made titles that had rail or train or anything like that in them. So I figured I might as well just use what's in my stash. So that worked out really good. And then I went into my sequins from Spiegel Mom Scraps. So I pulled out the Betsy Ross sequins, which are from July, and I just added a couple of the blue and white ones, and then some of the wood veneer stars. I thought I'll leave them in their plain color because it kind of matches the color of the tags that I used, and just leave it kind of in that raw state. And then I also grabbed they're sort of like that peachy pink color that's in my shirt. And And those were in the road tripping, which I think was from May. And so I pulled out a couple of those as well. And again, just to bring in that little peachy pink highlight color. And that's it. Really, really simple embellishment. And then to finish it all off, some splatters of the Heidi Swapp Color Shine tinsel. And I'm all done. That is it. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please go check out all of the links down below and the master playlist for this series where you'll see everybody's videos for this month. It's a great place to find some new inspiration and new channels to follow, so show them all some love. And I'll be back again soon. So until next time, happy scrapping.
Bye. Thanks to me. What about the channel?